Clash of Clans Podcast, Episode 4, Part 3 of Boaz Presents. And I'm back with the Clash of Clans for the fans in the stands. This is Boaz, and I'm here with Part 3 of my interview with Jake from One Hive. I've been getting some really great feedback from a lot of the listeners out there, so I'm just really glad that you guys are enjoying listening to it as much as I enjoyed making it. Really just had so much fun recording this with Jake, so I'm glad that it's shining through. So yeah, here is Part 3 of the interview. So, speaking of all these, the exploit attacks, do they work on Town Hall 10s? Can they be applied to Town Hall 10s?
Oh, man. That's a loaded question.
Well, before you answer that, do you attack Town Hall 10s in wars?
No, I don't. We have Town Hall 9s that do.
Oh, because you're a hogger,
Yeah. I've never made that leap to that, and I want to. I think it's interesting, and I think it's a different style, and it's a different. I want to learn, and I want to be versed in all different attack styles, so I want to do it. But I've sort of gotten to this. I don't know if it's a rut or a niche, whatever you want to call it, of targeting the high level Town Hall 9s. That's what I enjoy. That's what I have fun doing. I want to be able to take those out. So when it comes, when the war starts and we claim bases, I don't even look at Town Hall 10s, to be honest. I look at the top Town Hall 9s and I pick one. So no, I don't. We do have guys that do that enjoy that. That's what they like doing. So, and I'm glad of that. But no, I just don't.
So now back to that question. How well do the base exploit attacks work on or how well can they be applied to Town Hall 10s, or at least the kind of theories behind them, or the premise behind those kind of attacks?
The theories translate. They do. There's some things that translate, but the problem is two things. One, at Town Hall 10, you've got an extra bomb, which is huge for hogs. Not only do you have an extra bomb, you have an upgrade to the bomb that not only does more damage, it increases the area of effect. And people sleep on that. They don't realize how massive that is. A glancing blow to your hogs, what I refer to on their channels, a glancing blow, your hogs are running by, a few of them get hit, a few of them don't. They're all getting hit. It's just like they were standing on top of it.
Yeah.
It's huge. So, yes, the theories still work, but it's infinitely more difficult. It's, think about it this way. If you're attacking a Town Hall 10 and your goal is to hog it, whether it's holo wee-wee, go holo wee-wee, whatever you're doing, you're trying to hog it. You've got 4 heals. They've got 5 bombs. They don't even have to double them. You know what I'm saying? If they're positioned well to where you can't pre-trigger and your hogs are going to path over them, you don't have enough heals. It can't be done. So it changes so dramatically, and then on top of that, you throw Inferno Towers.
Yeah.
It's just a different game, man. It really is.
And so, yeah, I guess that was the other kind of thing that people considered to be part of the quote-unquote nerf, which you very smartly explained, is not technically a nerf because the hog stays exactly the same, but was the adjustment that heal spells don't work within, when a troop is under fire from an Inferno Tower, which basically, I remember I didn't know that, and I was hogging a Town Hall 10, and this might have been before. I think maybe that happened before the rest of the stuff happened with hogs, and it was such a cool. I planned it out so well. It was such a cool attack. It was going to be almost a 3-star, and my hogs went under these infernos, and I think I like double healed them, and I was so, I was like, yeah, I'm such a badass. And they disappeared. And I said, like, what? Like, and so I went out and I like, what the hell happened to my hogs? They're like, dude, they don't heal when they're under fire from inferno. So they just all died immediately. And actually, in retrospect, if I had used a rage they would have, because of how the infernos were placed and the amount of hogs I had right there, they would have destroyed the infernos in seconds if I had just done rage instead of heal. And so I was like, man, if I knew about that before starting that raid, it would have been a complete success because I just would have replaced one of the heals with a rage right there.
Yeah, that's the rule. When you're trying to hog any inferno tower, you rage into it, you heal out of it. But like you said, it's so different at Town Hall 10 that if someone is intelligent in their base design, you can make it to where it doesn't matter how good you are, it doesn't matter what you do, hogs are ineffective because all you have to do is place your infernos in a way where the hogs they don't have a direct path to it, if that makes sense.
They get hung up on other defenses around it. And it
goes back to hog pathing. You have to understand hog pathing to set up a defense for it. And if you can make it to where the hogs have a difficult time pathing directly to the infernos, then there's no rage, there's no heal. It doesn't matter what you do. They'll die before they get the job done. So these attack strategies can translate to Town Hall 10, but not really. They don't. It has to be a bad base. I mean, I don't know anyone wants to say it. It has to be a bad base.
And so you've talked about hog pathing a lot, and I know what that is personally, but in case there's listeners that don't understand that concept, can you break down hog pathing?
Yeah, well, hogs target defensive buildings, and we all know that. So you can literally know where they're going to go, where they're going to go first, where they're going to go second, where they're going to go third. Now, there's variables that will happen throughout the course of the raid that can change that. Buildings might go down at different times. If you have other troops deployed, they might take out a defensive building that changes the pathing. A Tesla could pop. Some things can change that, but for the most part, before you ever start a raid, you can know where your hogs are going to go throughout the base. So it's a huge thing. You want it. It determines how you deploy your hogs. It determines where you place your heals. It's something. If you want to be a hogger, you got to learn it. You got to practice it and think about it before you start the attack.
And as Jake was talking about in the Town Hall 9 base design stuff, you have to understand it as a defender because you need to place your double giant bombs between two defenses that you know that the hogs have to move from that defense to the other defense, and then that way they are, have to cross the double giant bomb path.
Well, and a step further, you have to know, okay, if they deploy from here, where the hogs are going to go. If they deploy from this side, a different path. So it's a step further, and you'll be surprised how many times we see bases that people just throw double giant bombs in there like, oh, okay, I'm defended. And there's sometimes not even a reason for the hogs to go there.
Uh-huh.
But that's such a lack of understanding of again, this hog pathing that we're talking about. You got to get it down, for not just for offense, but for defense.
Yeah, I was actually looking at a base with someone who was attacking it the other day, and we were breaking down where the Teslas and giant bombs were going to be. And he very smartly had various spots. It was a non-symmetrical base, which always is, that there's that part of me that likes the bases to be symmetrical and pretty and stuff, but you're so vulnerable if they're symmetrical because once you spring a Tesla or giant bombs or just do something on one side, then you already know where those are on the other side, and so it's just not a smart way to do it.
Right, and it behooves you to know that when you're scouting a base, because everybody's got that tendency. Mm-hmm. Everybody's brain works that way for some reason or another. Mm-hmm. If you put something on this side, your brain automatically tells you balance it on the other side. So it's a fault that we all have and that you can exploit, because more times than not, people build at least somewhat symmetrical bases.
Yeah, and so this guy, it was well done because it wasn't symmetrical, and so there was these several different double giant bomb spots. And I said, well, the double giant bombs are here and here. And they said, well, how do you know that? And I said, because if they're not, he's an idiot, because those other spots aren't along the hog path. Those spots are, the hogs have to pass from that air defense to that cannon. And so they're definitely gonna hit that double giant bomb. And it was exactly right. The Teslas were right where we had predicted, and double giant bombs were where we had predicted. So that's something that people can use when scouting a base too, is even if there's a bunch of double giant bomb openings, potential spots, if some of them aren't placed between two defenses or aren't placed along the path, then that's probably not it. And same thing when you're designing it. And so that's.
Now, I've went through that. You're exactly right. That's a good point. And people do need to scout bases in that fashion. But I've went through a streak where, for some freaking reason, I can't explain it, they are in the spots where you say if they're not there, this guy's an idiot. And that's obviously an idiot because they're not there. There's some freaking where else that I didn't plan for and screws up my whole attack.
He maybe is an idiot and just a lucky idiot, or maybe he was even one step ahead of you and he said people are gonna scout it there. I'm gonna throw it in this stupid ass spot over here.
Right where I don't plan on it being. Now, and that works. I've talked about that in the base design video. It works, but it only works once. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Good point.
Once the second attack starts and they know it's in this idiotic spot, it's simple to avoid, but it does screw me up and pisses me off. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of things like that. Like I had a base recently where I would do a lure trap, and it would screw over the first guy so much.
Yeah.
And then the second guy, it was still tricky enough that it made it a tough lure. But I mean, once you know that it's there, it's so much different.
The first time, and the second time it's like, okay, they just planned for it.
Yeah, exactly. So there's something to be said for eating up that first attack, but yeah, it's once it's scouted like that, then.
Well, we talked about it in the base build videos, and my theory on that is Teslas are a popular one to do that, to screw someone up on a lure or on a first attack, and if you have low level Teslas, let's say you're a new Town Hall 9 or a new Town Hall 10, and you got a level 2 Tesla that's upgraded, then yeah, it's worth it. Use it to screw up that first attack, screw up the golden pathing or the lure or whatever. But once you develop those traps to higher levels, then I think they're better used just for the buildings that they are.
Actually protected by walls and everything.
Right, yeah, just like it was there before, before it was already strong. Treated that in that manner.
So the ones that I really like are kind of the hybrid ones where there's a Tesla that's behind walls, that's well positioned, but it also is part of the lure situation, because once they kill the the cannon, whatever the outside defense is, when they can kill the one defense and then start going in towards the clan castle radius, if there's a Tesla there, which then is more centrally located, it's better protected, then that Tesla pops up and zaps the guys before they can lure the entire clan castle. And so that's kind of a smarter way to do it, because even on the second attack, then that's really tricky.
Well, it's like we said earlier, it's all about making them expend those resources almost to the point where it's not worth it. I'm sort of in that mindset of I don't, not the cost of making my base suck, but to the point where they got to expend troops because all that troop space is valuable.
And so I was talking on the last podcast. I'm not sure if it's the one that already came out or the one that's going to be coming out, about my lure philosophy and when it's worth it to lure. And it was interesting in your video, you went more in depth in terms of which comps are worth, more to lure. So I didn't think about it in that respect yet. But what I had said was my kind of rule of thumb is I'm willing to expend, 30 to 35 housing space on a lure, and it's not, and I'm not just using those on the lure. I'm also probably killing a couple defenses along the way, so it's not like I'm just completely wasting them, but it, almost wasting them, especially if it's just killing one cannon or something. And so, what are your thoughts on that? Say you're using a composition that luring is fairly important. Say like Go Wee Wee, where you were saying it's not not the end of the world if you don't lure with it. How many troop space would you say is worth it to lure in that situation?
Well, most of my compositions that I use, luring is basically essential. Mm-hmm. I'm a hog guy, so you can't be rolling hogs without luring. Mm-hmm. And it sort of goes back to what you just said. If I don't mind dropping 4 or 5 hogs, and so we're talking 20, 25 troop space to get a clank castle lure. That never bothers me. But if I have to go more than that, then I want something else in return. I want archer towers, I want cannons, I want wizard towers. I want those dead and the lure. So I don't mind dropping 6, 7, maybe 8 balloons as long as I'm killing 3, maybe 4 defensive buildings and getting the lure. So that's sort of how I look at it. Now, there are a few, and not many, there are a few base styles that's not possible, but usually those are so spread that a Go Wee Wee with just a few hogs to hit the core just wrecks those bases. So you don't have to lure. It's that balance. If they go too far, it screws their base up, and it's pretty much a sub base. You can holo it, or you can go Wee Wee really easily, or they don't go far enough. So it's that balance.
Yeah, and so I guess that's another thing. It's like, instead of asking you at what point is it not worth it to lure, at the point of 8 balloons, or the point of whatever 7, 35 housing space, it's actually at what point is it not worth it for you to attack that base and for you to let a different, a specialist of a different composition attack that base.
Absolutely. Let Zane or somebody just go Wee Wee the shit out of it and move on to a different base.
Yeah.
Because those bases are geared to defend against me, but are tailor made for someone like him. So yeah, exactly.
So I guess that leads me to something that I've really wanted to talk about on the podcast for a while. But maybe I'll just actually talk about with you right now. I wasn't planning on it, but the idea of attacking straight across in war. You hear about this, I've talked about on the podcast how it's dumb because people are good at different compositions. So maybe I have, right now most people in my clan have max troops for their town hall level, but say like earlier on, like say I have max hogs and only level 2 golems, someone else has level 4 golems and only level 3 hogs, or something like that. Why would I go across if the base over there at my number is not suited to my specialty and it's suited to someone else's specialty, even if they're a way different number? But something that Hulk talked about that I thought was really, really interesting is your number isn't based on your attacking skill. Your number is based on your defenses, which have literally nothing to do with how well you can attack. And I mean, except for the heroes, that's the one thing that kind of goes both ways there. But it's ludicrous to think of, well, your number, 15, you need to attack number 15, because that it doesn't have anything to do with your attacking power. It's only your defenses. And so it's there's no correlation. And a lot of times in our clan, it kind of pans out that the higher numbers attack the higher number. Like Adam and I are the top Town Hall 9s, and so we usually attack the top Town Hall 9s, but we also I don't know, just have the most success against them, you know. So it's not like, but it's not because of our number. Our number is because we have higher like traps and walls and things like that, and even, you know, heroes than the lower guys. But it's usually just a couple hero levels. But there's something I was noticing the other day. This guy in my clan, Garrett, who has significantly higher heroes than me, but he has like a few archer towers that aren't maxed. So he's like 8 spots below me in the thing. So we have the same level troops. We have he has much better heroes, but he's, you know, supposed to be attacking bases that are so much easier than the bases that I'm supposed to be attacking, even though he has more attacking firepower, because he had me he had like a family emergency come up one time, so he gave me his info so I could go and do a war attack for him in a close war. And it was like, man, using his heroes was like, oh my god, like this is power, man. Having a level, you know, 21 archer queen in level instead of like level like 16 or whatever mine was at the time, like it was just a completely different thing. And so then I thought about after that, man, this guy is expected to attack bases that are so much worse than the bases I'm expected to attack, and he has way more power at his disposal. And so that's something that really bugs me when people say...
It's insane, and I've been asked that question, do it maybe as much as any question, but you nailed it. I mean, it has nothing to do with your ability to 3-star, so why would you base who you attack on that? When you're a Town Hall 9, okay, when I became a Town Hall 9, the day I got max level troops, I am just as effective. Let's leave out the heroes for a moment, because yes, that plays a role, and it can be a big role, but let's leave that out. I have the same ability as our top Town Hall 9 does at that point, because his top Town Hall 9 status is based on his defenses, and I'm a new one. I'm building up my defenses, whatever. But I can take out the top Town Hall 9 on the opposition just as easily as he can, minus the hero situation. So if you're in a clan that requires that, you are essentially handicapping your clanmates out of the gates. You're literally starting off at a deficit, because just what you said, if I'm a hog expert and there's a hog base, whether it be my number or eight spots different, Town Hall 9 we're talking, and let's say the opponents have 20 Town Hall 9s, and it's 8 numbers away from me, whether it be up or down, and I'm a hog expert and they got a really easy hog base. Well, why wouldn't I attack that? I have as good a chance as anybody of getting a 3-star on it. Well, if my number is a straight up anti-hog, badass, you know, this is a tough hog base, and you're making me attack it, and you're throwing away an attack. It's insane. And a lot of clans do it, but I think it's because it's their only way of, quote, claiming a base.
Yeah, I can see that.
As opposed to how we do it, how I think y'all do it. We actually have a method this is my base. I'm calling it. No one can touch it. It's mine. I can build my army for it. I can plan for it. They don't have that, so it's a de facto claim. No one can touch your base, so it's a mistake, but I think it comes from a place of just ignorance and not having an alternative method.
Yeah, that's because we started using Clash Caller, and you guys, what is the way that you just use a GroupMe chat for?
We have a thread on our forums.
Oh, okay.
That gets set up, and people go on there and you claim your base.
Nice. Yeah. So we've been using this Clash Caller site, and actually. And it's been awesome because it just lets us, you know, customize our armies more, and we still have sometimes you see people where they just build their army and then they're like, oh, which one should I attack? And it's like, well, you're doing it in reverse here, but like, I mean that, but so actually what got us. I think one of the things that pushed us in the direction of setting that up was that El Bizzle posted in GroupMe your customizing your army video. And we were all like, oh, like, yeah, that, because we were calling a little bit, we would come on and then call a little bit in advance and maybe make some different troops for the base and stuff like that. But at that point, we were just like, we're wasting so much potential by not making completely custom armies. And there was this one war where I had called this base in GroupMe, and I kept, because I was making a Halloween for it, and someone came on and attacked right before me, and I was so mad. And it wasn't the guy's fault. I think he was a new member that wasn't on GroupMe yet, and he 3-starred it. I remember I felt like such a dick because I was hoping he wouldn't 3-star it, which is like that. You can't. That's just being a shitty clanmate and not having the success of your clan at heart. But I was like, I have this army that I'm gonna have to dump half the fucking army.
Yeah.
If he 3-stars it, and I mean, and he did, and it was. I mean, he's a great attacker. He's still with us. He's a great addition. PR blah to our clan. But I was so frustrated at the time, and then fortunately not long after that was when we started the Clash Caller. It was actually Keaton, who's a fan of the podcast. He was the one that told us about Clash Caller, and from there our ability to try new things just went through the roof. So from there people were just doing these armies that were so specific to the base.
And that's the thing. Luckily, it's a thing of the past, but it used to drive me crazy. People would log on, hey, I've got a Go Wipe or I've got a Hog Army built. Which base should I attack? It's like you said, it's so backwards. It's like, no. Don't do it that way. You pick a base that you feel comfortable. Hey, I've got a plan. Like we talked about earlier, I've got a plan for this base. I think it'll work. Whether it be no matter what the army is, it might be completely custom that you can't even put a name on.
Mm-hmm.
Every base has at least a few things you can exploit that won't fit into your, quote, normal army composition. So, like you said, it's a game changer. You've got to go past that. You've got to go past, here's what I war with. Someone put me at a base that it might work on. That you're not going to have much success that way.
Yeah, and that always did kind of another thing that would annoy me about that is that there would be some of us on there, and not even me as much as a lot of other guys anymore, because I've been pretty busy and stuff, but guys on there who are giving advice, who are scouting bases, who are putting in this extra time to help other people with their attacks. And so for someone to pop on and be like, hey, which one should I do? And then just expecting someone else to do all their scouting for them, like you at least you scout the base and then you ask the experienced players questions about it and stuff, and for advice and for for things or what or what's your take on that base. But you don't just say, hey, I have 5 minutes to tell me where to place my troops to attack the base, because that's just not fair to the people that are putting in the who are spending the extra time. And I know what really pisses some people off, especially Kevin is currently he's the leader. Usually we pass the leader position around a lot, but he's really kind of a natural choice for our leader because he's our best attacker. He's the most active, just so good at giving advice and stuff. So we're just kind of who should I pass the leader thing to? And like, you just keep it, man. But he gets so pissed because he'll sit down with someone and go over with them what they need to do to attack a base, and then they'll go in and not do it. And he gets so mad because he just took 20 minutes out of his day or longer sometimes to explain to this person what to do, and then they don't do it. And I mean, and sometimes it's understandable because it's like the pressure of the moment, everything's moving fast, it's hard to remember. So, you slip back into your old things, but sometimes it's just like they disregard his advice and just do their own thing. And oh my God, he gets so, and I would be so angry too if I put in this time to go over in detail with this person the weak points of the base, exactly what to do, and then they just don't do it, and it's just, yeah.
Well, and that's, I think too, that is part of the growing process, because people like Rex and King Beef and I'll forget some people, but anyways, when I first came and I was learning, those were the guys doing that, and it was happening in one half too. I mean, there was literally guys, here's how you attack this base. But me personally, it wasn't like, okay, tell me how to attack this base. I'm not going to think about what I'm doing. I'm just going to regurgitate what you just said to me. Mm-hmm. I literally wanted to learn every reason for everything he was telling me.
Yeah.
So not only when he was telling me, he might be explaining an attack to someone else, and I would obviously, let him finish what he was doing. But then I would say, hey, why? Mm-hmm. Why are you why are you doing it this way? Why are you doing it that way? Mm-hmm. So I don't mind it if they're of that attitude. Hey, don't worry, I'm not going to forget what you told me, mm-hmm. Next attack. You're not going to have to rebuild the wheel every attack.
Spoon feed it to me every time because I don't understand the the premise
so
behind
I know what you're saying. It can be frustrating, mm-hmm. but as long as they have the attitude of, I'm going to learn this and I'm going to get proficient at it, mm-hmm. and there will be a day come where not only will I have to ask you, I'll probably be telling the next guy that come in, mm-hmm. What I've learned and how to do this. I'm okay with it, but I know what you mean. Mm-hmm. There's guys that just log on. Hey, tell me how to do this. You do the hard work for me. Mm-hmm. I'll throw the attack at it. We'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. And so I get it.
So something that you talked about before in your videos is the difference between serious war clans and casual war clans. But what I've observed is that there's a huge spectrum within that. And so I was wondering if you could break down a little bit. I don't know if you have. I've never heard you talk about this in any videos, but if you have kind of various categories of seriousness of war clans, if there's, if you have 4 different levels, or or if you come up with that on the fly, how would you break down the seriousness of war clans?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't have like a, there's not a litmus test that you can say, okay, this classifies as, serious, hardcore. This one is semi-hardcore. No, I don't have that. But to me, really, when I say a hardcore or a serious war clan, one is participation. I mean, that's first and foremost. If you literally have people in your clan that just don't do attacks because, I don't know, they just didn't want to, or in 24 hours they couldn't find 3 minutes to do an attack, and you're keeping them around, that drops you down a few notches on my book immediately, because that's not asking a lot. Mm-hmm. People that join one hive or maybe join your clan or whoever, and we tell them, hey, we're about war. This is what we enjoy. We enjoy war. And they don't know that they have time to do 2 attacks in 24 hours with a 24-hour preparation day. I just have no patience for that. There's nothing they can provide me after that. If I can't rely on them to know they're going to get their attacks in, then they're worthless to me.
And Jake's, and not saying that that there's anything wrong with that. No, about some, it's if you don't have the motivation, or if you don't have the time to do it, then that's your prerogative, but you're not cut out for that clan, and you have no place in that clan.
And do that is all I'm saying. There's a whole spectrum of this game, all the way from an 8-year-old, like I've talked about, that picks it up and says, "Hey, this is fun. I enjoy it," to us. And I understand that there's people everywhere in between. And if you're having fun, that's fine, but don't apply to one hive and then don't do your attack and expect to stick around. That's not how we roll. It's not going to work. It's silly. It's, you're wasting everybody's time, including your own. So there's that level of people that don't even go that far. And then there's the next level that I would say is, they're big participation, but you've probably heard me refer to it, 2-star specialist. Mm-hmm. There's no innovation. There's no trying to chase that 3-star. They're going to beat the people they can beat because they're active. They get most of, if not all, their attacks in, and they can 2-star pretty much any base. And then the next step up to me is someone that says, no, I'm not satisfied with that. I want 100% participation, and I want to chase that 3-star. And even at that point, you could divide it up into different tiers of people where they're at in chasing that 3-star. But to me, they're all in the same boat. They're all in the same category. This is what we're after. This is what we expect. This is what we want. And they're like-minded, I guess is the best way to say it.
And then would you say there's another tier above that where kind of they figured it out and they're getting all the 3-star?
There is, because there's people that we have warred against that I think considered themselves in that serious war clan mentality. And after they get done with us, they're like, oh, okay, there is another level. Not that we're the end all be all. We do have, some amazing attackers. I'm not trying to sound douchey or cocky, but and I'm sure there's a clan out there that can beat us. I'm not saying that we're the best, but we are at that higher level, and I think it's shocking to some people when they come up against it. They're like, they thought they were at that level, and they realized, no, there's another step on the ladder.
Yeah, and that's that's what's kind of interesting to me, because there's kind of casual war clans and hardcore war clans, and some people will say to me, that the True Sons are a hardcore war clan, and or they'll categorize clans like you guys and Reddit troopers, and to me that just sounds kind of silly, because I feel like in a completely different category than you guys, because we're still in that stage of chasing the 3-star, of learning how to get the consistent 3-stars. But we are so much more hardcore than the vast majority of clans, but just not in the same ballpark as clans who are already 3-starring every time.
Well, I would say that's probably true, and to be fair, it's probably just a time thing.
That's a good point.
We've been doing that, chasing that 3-star longer than y'all have, and it's not necessarily a skill thing. It's the time that we've put in that maybe y'all weren't doing that as long as we have been.
And I think a time taken out of the day thing, because to get a 3-star, and especially consistently 3-star, you need to put a lot of scouting time into each base. And so some people, it's just they take war seriously. They want to 3-star. They want to improve, but they just don't have the time available, to properly scout a base. And I think we have definitely attackers like that, where it's like they want to improve, their heart's in the right place, but they just can't put the time in. Which people
have lives. It's a game. Most of us have lives, especially in a clan like ours, where we don't let a lot of kids in. We have jobs, we have wives and kids, and it's like you said, the ebbs and flows of your life. There's times you have more time, you have spare time to do it, and there's times you don't. And really, that's why 3.0 exists, is out of necessity. There's people that just they just get in a busy time and they can't do it. Well, instead of hurting the clan, they step out and they think a bird, and that's what you're going to run into. And so, there is in clans like y'all, let's say, and I don't know your clan, I've not been there, but you are going to win, I don't know, 90% of your wars plus, let's say 90, maybe 95, 99, maybe even. And so you guys are at that point where sometimes people get complacent too, because you are waxing most of your opponents. And until you go up against that next level, it's like you feel like you're there until you see it. And then it's like, oh, we're not,
Yeah.
And it happens there. It's happened to us. Back when we had our losses, it was because we went, well, I say that, one of the 3 losses that we've had was we got matched up against a clan that was as good, if not better than us, and had a slight town hall advantage. So while we might have thought we were unbeatable, we obviously weren't. And so
Which clan was that?
It was an Asian clan.
Oh, okay.
It was our first loss, and they had at that time we only rolled with about 3 or 4 town hall 10s, and I think they had like 13. Something crazy. Yeah. And then on top of that, they were good. They really were. They knew how to attack. They knew how to get stars, and so we got beat. That was the second loss that we had. The first loss was pre-nerf against a Chinese ghosting clan, just like it happens to everybody back then.
Yeah.
And then the third one was against a clan that cheated, and it was just I don't even want that'd be a 30-minute talk there.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about asking about the cheating in Clan Wars. Your take on that. You did get into that a little bit on if you had a composition that you knew could 3-star every time, and no matter what, would you use it? And I thought that was such an interesting question, and I think you mentioned it briefly during this interview, but I loved that in your video about that, where it's a question like, ask yourself, if there was a comp that you just you cook that comp, you take it in, and you're gonna get the 3-star, would you use it? And I think there's definitely people that would say yes, I wanna, it's more important to me to get the 3 stars, to get the loot and everything, than to actually have the challenge of earning it. And so I like that you said, you said, if you say yes to that question, I just can't relate. I don't.
Yeah, how do you respond to it? Because that was when in the cheating video, and the question was posed as if there was a program, if there was a software, people obviously download this iMod crap and they get this unfair advantage. But if they could take it a step further, and it was a program that literally all you had to do was turn it on, hit the button, it would build your army for whatever base you told it to attack. It would deploy the troops in the perfect fashion. It would place your spells in the perfect place. It built your army for you. It did exactly, and you knew it's a 3-star. If you would say yes, I would use that, then I don't know how to. I couldn't have a conversation with you. What do we have to talk about? You're not even playing the game. I mean, you're. It's just at that point about. It's like these kids. I don't know if you ever play Call of Duty. It's like these kids that get on there and just rage these servers with these aimbots. They just. They're not even touching the keyboard. I don't get it. I don't. But there's people that it's like you said. There's people that would say, yeah, I did. But I don't know. I don't know what to say to those people. I don't know how to. Again, I couldn't even have a conversation about the game with them.
And that's an extreme example, but it's an example that kind of symbolizes what it is to use iMod, because you are still.
The next step, obviously it's not that, but the next step is iMod.
Yeah.
I can practice an attack 15 times if I want to. Do you think there's any chance that I would not 3-star a base if I could practice to the point where deploying the troops was just muscle memory? I mean, it's the next step. It's the same thing almost.
Yeah, and so it's just beyond being a matter of kind of honor and being a matter of what kind of a bitch move it is to do that. The matter of are you having fun anymore?
Right. How boring would it get? That was my point. Yeah. Let's forget about the fact that you're a bitch. I mean, forget about that. That's a foregone conclusion. You know it. You probably crying right now because you know it. That's you. But beyond that, how long can that be fun? I mean, honestly, it has to get boring. It has to.
So okay, so another question that I had for you, as long as we're talking about kind of the difference between casual players and serious players, is this thing that I talked about in the last podcast, where I was talking about people who are willing to sacrifice a lot of resources and things in order for a laugh, in order to do something that's kind of a little bit entertaining and everything, and so what that made me think, it really made me think of you when I was talking about that kind of stuff, where I was thinking like I can't relate, like I guess I just don't understand that. So what is your take on kind of that casual side of Clash of Clans?
I guess I'm like you. I don't get it. I guess the problem I have is it's not that entertaining to me.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about, I don't know, building an army of all Valves, let's say, I don't know, whatever, if that's what we're talking about here, and you're burning all that dark elixir, I get a little bit like you. I'm like, hey, that's, I could be upgrading my queen with some of that. So it's not entertaining enough to me to warrant it. I guess, we could veer off and talk about these guys that, get paid for it. If they're putting out a video of all minions and they're getting 50,000 hits, well, yeah, it's worth it to them. But me and you know, I don't get it. I don't know why a normal person would build an army like that and attempt it.
And so the thing that sparked it was this tweet from this guy Bo, who was saying that he keeps his town hall inside because that's a lot more interesting. Which that at least I can kind of see where that you're actually kind of feeling like you're actually playing the game. You're not just kind of pussing out and keeping your town hall outside just to to avoid getting attacked and stuff. But so I guess taking it in that direction, what's your thoughts on gameplay like that?
I get that. I know what the guys say. Now I listen to that podcast and I know what they're saying. They're doing something that adds a layer to the game, but really for guys like you and me, when all that truly matters to us is war, we already get that. You know what I mean? We already get
that's a good point.
Yeah. Test. To do it on against a farming army is not even it's not even the same thing, because we're doing it every 2 days against real armies, against the best they've got. And so I think that's how it is. You have people like us that say, hey, I'm getting a shield and I'm not worried about that. I'm protecting it because, hey, that's what they're taking could upgrade my walls or could upgrade my heroes, make me better at war. They're looking at it as they don't get that because they're not the hardcore war guys. So they're getting a little taste of what we get, I think, and they're only getting it on a diminished scale. That's sort of how I took that when I was listening to the podcast. I know what they're saying, but that urge, that need that they're feeling, we get every 2 days.
And I know this guy is a big fan of Clan Wars too, so I guess it's an additional, an additional thing for him. But I think that was it for me, is that what I care about is war. Therefore, every time instead of getting a free shield, I get resources taken. That's walls that will help me in war, and that's hero levels that will help me in war, and that's all I see in farming. And whether I gain resources or whether I lose resources is my heroes improving and my walls improving. And
right, yeah, the entertainment value of watching them maybe fail an attack every once in a while, or that is not worth even a little bit of resources lost, because it's not that much entertainment for us. Is the basic breakdown. Not knocking anybody that does enjoy that, because again, we've talked about this numerous times. Whatever you enjoy, it's a game that's supposed to be fun, but there's definitely two mindsets, and it's, again, going back to you and Scotty, it's funny to watch you two talk. You and I are such the same mindset. And I know he does like war and protects in war, but I guess maybe because I've only been listening for a few months during all this pushing and stuff, the way he approaches even the simplest of subjects is sort of a lot of times opposed to the way you approach it. And it's a neat contrast to, because I don't think like that. So it's something that you get to see another side of something.
And I think that really makes the podcast, that gives a lot of content and makes it entertaining when there are two opposed, kind of points of view like that. And I know that there's a portion of the audience that doesn't connect with what I'm saying and stuff. And so it's nice to have that kind of
Yeah,
a
there's
foil
got to be.
to.
It's like I said, when he's talking, I'm already on the same wavelength as you, and I know there's people that when you're talking are on the same wavelength as him, so it does give a good, two-sided view of everything. So it's good, but there's like I said, when there's times when y'all be talking about something, I know that y'all think you're talking about the same thing, but being on the outside looking in, I'm like, oh no. Just wait. And here in a moment, you're like, oh no, I'm talking about this. Like, oh yeah, I'm talking about something else.
Yeah, because the game. I mean, the three facets of the game, war, farming, and pushing, are so different from each other. And speaking of that, how much do you farm?
Dude, I used to farm a lot. Before the channel, I was a farming machine. But since the channel, very little. It does take time, and it takes a lot of time. So that basically is my farming time being sacrificed. I still do it. I still try to get it in, but it's just a time management thing. And again, I have a life and a job, and I do it when I can. I like farming. I don't mind it, but it's so much less than it used to be.
And I farm so much less also, and it's instead of the channel, it's just the base scouting that that's just taken that away. But I realized that's another thing about me not having a desire to go to Town Hall 10. It would take so much farming for me to when I go to Town Hall 10. Like right now, I'm in a good groove of I have things to improve. Hulk just maxed out his Archer Queen today, so he's got not like that would be really depressing for me to no longer have anything to work on at Town Hall 9. Like then I would have a hard time. I think a hard time staying there. But the just knowing that I can just do a little bit of farming and collect my war loot and be making improvements and everything to my base and not have the pressure of needing to save up 8 million gold or 8 million elixir for the troops or the defenses and stuff. So I think maybe if I was a much more active farmer and had more time to do that, maybe I would be a lot more excited about the prospect of Town Hall 10. So I think that might have something to do with it as well.
I would say you're right. Honestly, I'm in the same boat, and it honestly probably was good timing for me because, again, I was, as the channel started, I started doing more and more with it and doing more videos. I had less time, but around that time, I pretty much had maxed my defenses. And so at this point, it is just, heroes and walls. And there's no rush. I mean, I'm like you, I'm getting better. I am improving my defense, my walls and my heroes, but it's not like I have to, hurry and get done or I got to save up for this defense. It's something I do in my own time, and it's good because time is so much more limited. I mean, we actually had a gold grab contest for a gift card. And I actually was the one doing the contest, so I didn't take it, but I won, and I was just doing my normal thing. I think I did like 80 or 90 million gold grab in 2 weeks.
Wow.
But now, I mean, I bet I don't do 10 million in that time. It's that drastic.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I mean, having a YouTube channel has even added a whole thing onto the spending time with.
It's time consuming. That's all, and I enjoy it, so I'm not complaining because I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. But it is time consuming.
So this is something I've been wanting to ask you about because I haven't really heard your thoughts on it. Hulk is very much down on Town Hall 8. He kind of said there's no reason to be doing anything before Town Hall 9. And I recently, my mini has started really getting solid troops at Town Hall 8. I maxed my hogs and my P.E.K.K.A.s, everything except for my golems, and I'm working on that. And man, I can do some really good, strong attacks with either go wipe or hog attacks with my Town Hall 8. And I'm having a lot of fun with it, especially because it kind of surprises people how strong the Town Hall 8 can be. And so I'm liking it. I'm curious what your take is on Town Hall 8.
Dude, I love Town Hall 8 now. Obviously, I like Town Hall 9 better, but I'm not down on Town Hall 8s at all. I enjoy watching Town Hall 8s. I enjoyed being a Town Hall 8. I've done attack strategy guides for Town Hall 8s. I've got a lot of Town Hall 8 viewers, and I'm opposed to that. I think Town Hall 8s are valuable. I think they're it's a fun time. It's a good time for people to learn the basics. It's like you said, you can learn everything from your golem attacks, dragon attacks, hog attacks. You can get all the basics there. And you can do it in a way that it's not detrimental to your clan.
Yeah, definitely.
If a Town Hall 8 screws up, it's not that hard for someone to clean it up for them. So I don't agree with that. I think it's a good town hall for people, especially learning. So no, I'm all for it.
So the update that just came out, what now it's been out for a little while here. What are your impressions from the update?
The only real thing, are you talking about the Christmas update or the prior one?
Oh, sorry. Well, what's
like the Archer update or the Archer Tower change or the back to like the Skeleton update, the Skeleton Trap?
No. Sorry. Yeah, the recent one, the Archer Tower one, the Christmas one. Yeah.
Yes, there is a difference. It does make some attacks a little bit more difficult, but it's marginal. In my opinion, it was designed for farming attacks, for Barch. It's a Barch nerf, basically, which is odd because they just gave you level 7, Barbs and Archers, and then they turn around and sort of nerf it. But to me, that's what it was. Now, any troop with a moderate amount of hit points, hogs, balloons, yes, it makes a difference, but in pretty much any scenario, it makes a half a second difference if you have one Archer Tower shooting at that defense. Because of, and Hulk did a good job of explaining this on his channel, so y'all can check it out. Before, the DPS is the same, but because it's shooting twice as fast, let's just use easy numbers. If you've got an Archer Tower doing 100 DPS and shooting once a second, and you've got a Hog that is 525 hit points, before the update, it took 6 shots to kill that Hog. Okay, 5 shots wouldn't do it. The 6th shot would, and that takes 6 seconds. Well, after the update, now it'll take 11 shots because you're shooting twice as fast. So you're saving a half a second. It's going to do those 11 shots in 5.5 seconds, kill the same Hog that it would have took 6 shots in 6 seconds, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so it is different, but it's marginal. It's not drastic to where it's like game changing to redesign your strats or anything. But you could notice a tower that would have went down that didn't, or something that goes a little wrong that pre-update wouldn't have. But it's not a game changer by any means.
So something that I'm finding interesting is that there were so many things that came out in that update, and the one thing you talked about was the Archer Tower thing. So do you think that's the most significant part of the update?
To me, again, I look at it through the prism of war. It's the only one that matters. You've got the base thing, which is cool, and it's nice for people to be able to do that. I think it's very helpful for base designers. But that doesn't change war, in my opinion. I'm having trouble even thinking about what else was there, man. But
so yeah, I couldn't remember either but I pulled it up. So there was the things that might affect war, the hero ability icons.
Oh, I love that. Oh yeah, I forgot about that, dude. That's epic. Yeah. Me personally, I almost got to the point where doing hog attacks, when right before I deployed my hogs, regardless of what was going on, I would use my hero abilities because I know I'm going to overlook them. I know I'm going to be focused on my hogs and keeping them healed. So I love it.
Which is a huge waste because you should never be using hero ability until they have at least a solid chunk of health.
Right, exactly. And sometimes my queen would never even be touched, and I'm hitting it because I know, okay, my homes are going, and I know I'm going to be focused on it.
Yeah.
And it's better to go ahead and waste it, throw it out there, than it is to not use it at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that aspect. It's helped me several times already. So I forgot about that. And that is big, and I do like it.
So the thing that has made the biggest difference to me, and it's something that seems to get overlooked so much. I was just listening to the episode that Scotty and Boneyard did, and when they brought up this thing, Boneyard said, well, that's completely irrelevant. Why would they even say that? Which is the balancing of the hit points on the buildings. This I've noticed such a huge difference, especially with the army camps, but really with everything. That balancing of the hit points makes a massive difference to me in terms of planning my rate, planning my funneling, especially. So how important do you think that hit point balancing is?
It is. It's something that, again, to me, in a war attack, it's minor, it's there, and you do have to plan for it because, again, taking out trash buildings can be crucial to a raid, not just for the percentages, but for creating your funnel, for things like that. So it's a factor, but again, to me, that was simply another barge nerf. They slightly increased those collectors and trash buildings so that the barge is sitting there for a second or so longer to allow more damage to come towards them. I think that, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that was the purpose of it. It does affect war, but it's not crucial. It's sort of like the Archer Tower. It's minor. You've got to be aware of it, but it's not huge in that you have to redesign your attacks or anything of that nature.
And so I kind of think it even helped me a little bit in farming with Barch because my Barch would always get held up on the army camps, and then so they wouldn't move forward in a uniform line. They would move forward in a weird.
That's true.
So,
but people. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but in general,
I think overall you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's designed to hold that swarm up a little bit, in my opinion. Could be wrong. I mean, I'm not the farming expert by any means, but it seems like that's, again, I don't know if you've noticed in war a big difference, but I have not.
I guess the reason I was thinking about it is there's an attack I just did where it did make a difference because I needed to create a funnel, and they had the army camps positioned in a perfect spot for me to create the funnel. And I would have it would have been such a waste of time to use archers on it before. I would have had to waste wizards because the archers would have taken forever. But what I was able to do is plop down 2 archers to break the funnel, then then open some holes with wall breakers. By the time that was done, the archers had almost killed the army camps instead of being 75% of the way through the army camps and me just sitting there. So that was kind of fresh in my mind, and that made a difference. And I just notice it while I'm attacking. I just notice things going down at different speeds. But yeah, overall, it doesn't change my strategy that much.
Well, and being a hogger, going back to that, I'm so much more focused on the defensive.
Oh, yeah.
Than
all the trash buildings are for afterwards anyway.
Yeah, it's almost afterwards stuff. Minus creating the funnel, which you touched on. So yeah. But was that it? Was there any other?
There was about a million things, but they were just a lot of. The layout thing, and something I talked about in the podcast I did about the update was how depressing it was to me that now people could easily put a troll base for the clan wars, and how it was going to mess with the ability to scout and everything. And I've been using it. A lot of people have been using it. But the enemy clans, although they've been doing it, sometimes the vast majority of the time they're not doing it. And so it is possible to scout it in advance. It's depressing if you scout it, spend a bunch of time scouting it, and then they change it. Then that sucks. But the fact that it's not happening that much is making me not be too worried about scouting and everything. So that's not as huge of a change as I kind of anticipated.
Yeah, and if you run into a tough clan, it's probably going to happen. But honestly, it has not happened one time to me. I've not scouted a base that's been switched over. So I know what you're saying, and it will be frustrating because I would tend to, 2 or 3 hours before war starts, go ahead and start pre-cooking my army. And that could, someone could be a douche and switch it and make you have to redo your army. But not, again, it doesn't change war in the essence of, doesn't change the way you attack. It's just you got to wait to scout and build your army after the war starts. So not a huge deal, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, and I would my first attack always, I have that first 24 hours to plan it instead of, but really they could do it before. It just took a little bit more time. They could mess
time and effort.
Exactly. Yeah, a little bit. So maybe, there are people doing that anyway in the past, but yeah, the only other things are, the only other thing that would, I think, be big for war is the level 7 giants, and doesn't seem like those are enough people have those yet to start kind of seeing how that's going to work. But I have a feeling people are going to start replacing golems with giants at Town Hall 10 in certain raids.
Yeah, that was my thought when I heard that. But again, like you said, there's not been near enough time to flesh that out yet. And I'm not being a Town Hall 10. I don't even know, honestly, to be completely honest with you, what the buff was. If it was significant, I don't know.
I think it was only 20% of each or something like that. Not a huge thing, but
that could eventually change things a little bit. Town Hall 10, it could.
But yeah, a lot of other. The vast majority of the stuff is farming stuff, and
it was good stuff. It just wasn't.
That was what was depressing to me. It was such a good update in terms of improving the loot economy and farming, and I don't really farm, so I was like, well, that's great,
time to farm
for you guys. Yeah, it's going to be a lot. And when I do get time to farm, there will be more loot out there and stuff. So that'll be nice, and it'll be more dark elixir for my heroes, and so hopefully with this 1 gem boost, I'm going to get a little time to farm. But yeah, we went so long tonight, I cut out my farming time. So yeah, sorry, I probably ruined any farming time that you might have tonight too.
No, I've been doing videos of them anyway, so no big deal, man.
But yeah, that's all the questions I have. I've taken more than 3 hours of your time. So awesome job, because that flew past, at least for me. So
yeah, I had a good time, and I appreciate it. I really do. It's kind of weird from where just a few months ago, just discovering the podcast and hearing about you guys and start listening, and then just here we are a few months later being on it. So I appreciate it. I really do. Well,
so everybody, I'm guessing that you're probably, anyone who hasn't checked out Jake's channel is going to be curious to check it out now. So it's One Hive War Raids on YouTube? Is that
the channel is actually One Hive Raids.
One Hive Raids.
Yeah, if you search for it, there's not any other one out there like it, so you're not going to miss it by putting a war in or anything like that.
So One Hive Raids on YouTube, and then Twitter, is it at One Hive Raids?
Yep, at One Hive Raids on Twitter.
One Hive Raids, okay. Cool. Well, yeah, and if you're curious about joining One Hive, which I'm guessing there will be people whose interest has been piqued by the interview as well, you can see, I think it's on your channel, how to apply.
Yeah, there's a video just giving some tips for people what we're looking for and whatnot, and then you can either apply on our website or you can apply on the Supercell forum recruitment thread. We have a recruitment thing there. So.
Something I just thought of. I noticed on the 10 versus 10 tournament thing, there was someone that put down that One Hive might be interested. Is that something you guys are thinking about participating in?
No, we're not going to. And the reason, the thought of stuff like that is always great. It's like, oh, that'd be awesome. But here's the problem. One Hive is a team of 35, let's say, individuals, 40 individuals. We're not going to do that. We're not going to pick 10 people. Mm-hmm. And
that's
piss off someone else. Mm-hmm. We're not going to cause drama in something that works so well just for silly tournament that really, at the end of the day, is just for bragging rights. And we run into this a lot. We have a lot of clans that want to war with us. We say, hey, let's set up a war, sort of like we do our scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
And we're okay with that, but we're not going to alter our roster. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that sounds dumb or bad.
No. The second part, altering your roster to match up with people who don't match up with you, that doesn't make sense to me. I could see matching up with someone who already is a perfect match for you. I mean, that makes sense.
Or if someone's really, really close, we're really close match and they want to get searched at the same time, we're open to that. But most of the time, we have people contact us, and I think it's people that sort of want to make a name off of us, try to take a shot at it. And if they win, it's going to be a big feather in their cap.
Mm-hmm.
And they want us to conform to what their war setup is, and we're like, are you crazy? Why would we do that? That doesn't make any sense. First of all, if we do that, we're going to piss someone off, setting them. Second of all, we're going to conform to what you're used to war in and war out to give you I don't know. It just seems silly, and it always ends up like that. The idea of setting up wars with other clans is awesome in theory, and then it's like, it just the logistics of it doesn't work.
Yeah. The one time I've seen it be really awesome was when the two podcast clans, House of Zod and House of El, hit the button at the same time and faced off. That was a pretty epic thing, because Scotty was leader of one and Boneyard was leader of the other. So,
and then if it worked out, if someone wanted to, hit search at the same time and it worked out, that would be awesome. But just for people out there maybe that hear this, we're just not going to. We're not going to go into altering our roster or setup to try to conform and make it happen. If you want to try it and see if it matches up, great. If not, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and for us, we're planning on doing the 10 versus 10 thing, and it's not going to be as big of an issue because we have so many people that are inactive right now that I think we can pick 10 people without pissing too many people off. But we do kind of need to know a little more about the rules because we have a lot of lower guys who are really, really good attackers. And so it's like, do we go with someone who attacks above their weight class, but they have a crappier base, or we go with someone who has a better base and heroes, but attacks, across from them instead of, above them and stuff. So we'll be curious to kind of learn the rules and kind of select our squad based on that. But yeah.
But that's cool. I mean, if people have fun doing that, that's cool. It's just not for us. We're a team of however many people in our clan. And like I've said in the videos before, we hit the war button and we get who we get. If we get someone tough, all the better. That's what we want. But we're not going to hamstring ourselves or handicap ourselves to try to set it up. It's just not going to happen.
Well, thank you so much, Jake. Is there any other last things that you want to say before we?
I really just want to thank all the guys at One Hive because, like I said earlier in the podcast, if it wasn't for them, to me the channel's successful. The YouTube channel's successful. It's still small. I mean, we're a little over 3,000 subs, which is awesome to me. It's crazy to me actually, but I know that in YouTube world that's tiny. Mm-hmm. But all that success that there is due to those guys and the attacks that they bring day in, day out, and I get to just show it, and I get the easy part. So I want to thank all of them for letting me show their attacks and just being awesome.
Nice. All right, cool. Well, thanks a lot, Jake. I think people are really going to like this interview. It gave us a lot of content, and people just always want as much of the podcast as possible. So 3+ hours here, I think people are going to be happy with that.
Well, I hope so. I hope it's not too long. I hope they don't get bored listening to us talking and agreeing on everything.
Oh, they can always pause it. And yeah, that's true. We'll see what the difference is between two people that don't have anything to argue about and two people that do have a lot of stuff to argue about. So I guess it's a different dynamic.
Yeah, you don't like redheads, do you?
No, not a huge fan.
Redheads. I don't like redheads. Are you a redhead guy? We can argue about that.
No, that's true. No, I like. Oh, you mean redheaded guys? I'm not a huge fan of redheaded girls, but I don't really like white girls in general. So
well, there you go.
My wife's Indian. I kind of go more for that. So not to offend any white girls out there.
My wife's half Korean, so.
Oh, there you go. Damn it, another thing in common.
I know. See, we gotta stop.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you so much. You have a great night, and thanks for taking the time to do this.
You bet, man. Appreciate it.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, so that concludes part 3 of our interview with Jake. I just wanted to remind everybody once again to go on the website and take the survey for us. This is super important, so if you want to help out the podcast in any way, this is a big way to do it right now. Just go on ClashClansPodcast.com, go to the tab that says survey. It asks you for your email. I know that always kind of puts me off whenever something asks for my email, but you can just, if you have like a secondary email account, something like that, I know I have a few of those for situations like that, so definitely feel free to put down whatever. I think they just use it for tracking purposes, but just in case you're worried about spam or anything, you can, feel free to put down one of your extra email addresses, and then just your information just takes about a few seconds, and it really helps us out a lot, so that would be awesome. Yeah, so something I noticed during the interview there was that Jake, apparently when we did this, had a little over 3,000 followers, or 3,000 subs on YouTube. Jake now, just a few weeks later, has 6,000 subs on YouTube, which is, he's been around for quite a while, and he just doubled in the past 2 or 3 weeks here, which is pretty crazy. So I wish I could take credit for that, but actually the vast majority of that growth happened before the podcast even came out. So unfortunately, it wasn't me. So whatever it was, Jake is definitely doing something right. He's growing super fast. People have just been reaching out to me left and right, just telling me how grateful they are for pointing me in his direction, just how much they've been learning from him already, just in this past, few days since part 1 and 2 came out. So yeah, that's I'm really glad that it's been so helpful for people. And another thing I wanted to touch on was the audio quality on Jake's side of the podcast. So again, I apologize to Jake for that. And really, to me, the shame about the kind of echo issue that was on there is that Jake has, one of the biggest draws of Jake is that he has the best voice in the Clash of Clans community. That's, I think, one of the reasons for his success, besides his insight and his great, vocabulary and just the way he lays things out, is he's really nice to listen to. So I feel bad that his silky smooth tones didn't quite come through the way they should have. And for that reason, as well as the fact that there was a bunch of stuff that I didn't get a chance to ask, since we ran out of time at 3 some hours and it was 2 something in the morning and the baby was crying, I had to quick sign off there. So you guys can actually expect a part 4 coming at some point in the future to kind of finish up the stuff that I wanted to talk to him about. We can both talk about what it's been like, the reaction that we got from these first few parts of the podcast. And then you can really get a chance to appreciate what his voice is supposed to sound like, and I think that will be a treat for everybody. So yeah, don't hound me about it. It's not like coming up right now, and so please don't tweet at me when is part 4 coming out. When is part 4 coming out? I'm just kind of giving you a teaser that we're planning on doing that sometime in the future. Something that is coming up fairly soon is episode 5 of Boaz Presents. We have a pretty big guest lined up for that. We're very excited here at the podcast. Scotty is actually going to be joining me for that interview, which I think is going to be really fun. So the two of us are going to be on together with this guest, and it'll just be kind of a different dynamic, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. It's going to be different, and it's going to be really cool. So the outro music for this episode is called My Castle Stands by JT Makinima. I hope you guys like it. And until next time, keep it clashy.
I have come for your head and all your golden elixir. I'll choke it out of you like a boa constrictor. I got my troops trained like Doberman pinchers at the level cap, so they know where to hit ya. I'm dropping bombs and slamming walls, and crunching skulls with cannonballs, sending in my barbarians to beat you dead, and that is about as bad that? Could it be T-Rex? Fall back, cause we need defense. I got a couple traps that'll bring your giants high. Who said you ever needed wings to fly? My wizards are learning sacred powers. My mortar strikes will shake your towers. Raining down like April showers. I'm the kind of guy that you hate to challenge. Check out the finest line of archers around. If you don't want to get hit, well then you ought to get down. Had some trophies before, I got a lot of them now. There will come a day when every one of you bows. I got my goblins on a mission. They're taking all your dark elixir. Should I make a golem or a lot of minions? So many options, but I got to pick one. Now come and get some. My castle stands at the end of it all. With strength in numbers, should one of us fall. Fear not the rain, you'll be taking my walls. Through plastic plans, we will stand at the end of it all. I got so many gems, I don't even know how to spend them. If you're running low on men, just join my clan and maybe I'll lend some. I've got such tough defenses, nobody's ever reached my town hall. And if I am not your friend, you better expect me to be your downfall. I'll be ready when your shield is done. It's just another itty bitty battlefield to crush. Whip up a diversion to steal your stuff. And if you deal any damage, then I'll heal it up. Try to run away, I won't let ya. Pick up the white flag and surrender. There's nothing left that can protect ya. I got enough elixir to get some Peckers. She will leave debris in her path. Destroy, never look back. Yep. Your best bet leveled up to the max. So if you got any walls, you will find all the cracks. Take up arms and grab your saddles. Prepare yourself for epic battles. Fall back, retreat, get down and take cover. If you don't want to die, it's either that or fight. My castle stands at the end of it all. With strength in numbers, should one of us fall. Fear not the rain, you'll be safe in my walls. Through plastic plans, we will stand at the end of it all. My castle stands at the end of it all. With strength in numbers, should one of us fall. Fear not the rain, you'll be safe in my walls. Through plastic plans, we will stand at the end of it
Skilly beep beep.